Well, it would help if I unmute you guys. Can you guys hear me now? See, no sound. Okay, what about now? Can you guys hear me now? That's what happened if. Hi, hey Bella. What about now? Can you guys hear me now? Okay, what about now? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up emoji or say yes, I can hear you. Oh no, this can't be happening. We can't hear you. Yes, 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 hallelujah. Third time is really a charm. As mentioned earlier, yes, good. Okay, yes, 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 great. Let's start all over again, shall we? As I mentioned, even though I'm trying to, as you can see, pumped up my camera gear, adding on music so that you guys who are in the waiting room could feel really excited while I come on, that is because the timer is letting you know that I'm setting up my gear and my coffee to be here. So let's get started. If we are meeting for the very first time, my name is Holly. I'm a career coach for technical professionals. I'm here today to help you get a job with big tech companies because that's really the bulk of my entire background. I know that many of you will be only interested in asking questions around your job interview with Amazon. However, please do keep in mind that my strategies and I talk a lot about the Amazon leadership principle because truly if you have those leadership principle in mind, you should be able to answer almost, if not all, of the behavioral questions with any employer. Okay? So before we started, I want to take a brief moment to talk about a lot of you who have messaged me on via LinkedIn. Thank you so much, by the way. I wanted to shed some light, if I may, guys. Many of you have mentioned that you're not ready for your job interviewed and you are going along with it anyway because opportunity like interviewing at Amazon doesn't come around that often. I want you to, and I try to stop you, by the way, by responding to your message on LinkedIn, but there's just way too many of you guys. And I've mentioned this in previous live stream before. If you guys are not 100% ready for your job interview, you will fail. It's not just Amazon, it's any employer where your feedback will be remained in what is called their internal CRM system or applicant tracking system, where even if you apply 5, 10 years from now, they can see your feedback. Okay. So again, for those of you, I know you've been affected by the pandemic. A lot of you guys are. I know that. I'm here to try to help you. That's why I'm offering this free live coaching every week for you. But you have to listen and do the work. And the first thing is you need to listen very carefully with my instruction to help you prep and create your story. As mentioned before, guys, and I'm going to repeat myself again. If you think you can take a job interview and prep the night before or prep the week before, you're not going to ace it through, especially when you're rusty and you haven't worked for a fast moving organization like an Amazon. Unless you're coming from Apple, and that's different because I think those two organizations are moving in the same speed. Okay? So I feel like I need to have this moment of truth with you guys. Many of you have reached out, and I know that some of you are really devastated because you didn't get the opportunity. But this is exactly what I've been trying to tell you guys. And also the bonus tip here is the day of your interview, the night before you're interviewed, you could take a jog, you can meditate, you can play with your children if you have one, or cooking, whatever it is that makes you guys zen. You cannot show up to an interview and study the day of the interview. Okay, even if you have notes alongside of your computer monitor because everything is virtual right now, I get that, but you will be lost and scattered because you're not prepared and you don't know how to brand yourself. Kabish? Okay, I need to get that out of the way. So if you're new here, I would love for you to type new in the comment below. Let me know, as always, what level you're interviewing for, if at Amazon, what position you're interviewing for any company, okay? I love these live stream because the folks who are joining, it doesn't really matter what position you're interviewing for. It's all about, at the end of the day, how you create your story. And a lot of the commonly asked behavioral questions are really similar, okay? So let's get started. Hey V, Veronica. Hey, how are you? I'm so happy to see that some of my Patreon folk is here. Hey guys, I just wanted to double check very quickly that you guys could still hear me. I just have to browse up a little bit. Okay, great. Okay, if at any given point, if my audio is off, which it shouldn't be, just put the word stop or we can't hear you down there. Okay, I'm looking down at my, not second screen, my iPhone, just so that I don't miss any detail. Okay, so let's get started. Now, if you guys are excited, give me a thumbs up. Please do help me trick the YouTube algorithm. It's also helping me grow in my channel as well. Okay, give me a thumbs up and let me know you're excited to start. Hello, how are you here? Hello, Miss Believe in Me. I do believe in you. You know why I believe in you? Must believe in me? Because you show up every single week and you don't miss a beat. Okay, and I recognize a lot of familiar name. I love it. So if you have any other questions, let me know. I know that you are a finance analyst, folks. I mentioned this in the last stream. I actually have a thumbnail. If you go to my Amazon interview tips playlist, which is this live stream, I put a timestamp on every single one of your question and my answer. Where you clicked on it, it brings you right to it. There is a video that is called On-Site Interview Process because so many of you during that week asked about the on-site process. Either it was finance, engineer, PM, recruiter, HR, it doesn't matter what it is. The on-site process are all the same. Go check out that video, okay? Also do a Control F to find finance analyst, just finance, that word finance, interview tips. There should be quite a lot of them because weekly I get a lot of financial people. Okay? Again, thank you for joining me. And if you can't find what you're looking for, must believe in me, let me know in the comment below. I'm more than happy to give you some tip. I just don't want to be redundant for those who are coming back. Okay? Hey, Allison, how are you? I think you just joined my Patreon, if I'm correct. Thank you so much for being here. Miss Mojo Risen, how are you? I think you are new to my channel. And you said, I have a phone interview for infrastructure delivery manager on Thursday. Good luck to you. Do you have any tips? I have a lot of anxiety. That's great that you have a lot of anxiety because in today's live stream, ooh, my head is, oh wow. You guys, it doesn't matter if you don't see my face as long as you can hear me. I wanted to focus a lot of my tips to you guys about anxiety, and I pretty much said that the first 2 minutes. You have anxiety because you're not prepared. Okay? I'm not even calling you guys out. You have anxiety because you're not confident in the interview, which also tells yourself and not me. My opinion doesn't matter. It's all about you. You need to be able to tell yourself that you know what you want, and you have clarity of the role that you want to implement that in the role that you're applying for. That will liberate some of the anxiety, okay? And if you haven't already, check out my Amazon Leadership Principle. I talked a lot about being prepped and how do you get prepped. I don't want to repeat myself and using the STAR method because all of that stuff, including a phenomenal article from David Anderson, who's a GM at Amazon. This man wrote the 14 leadership principle. Of course, I've reached out to him directly and asked for his permission before sharing his content into my YouTube channel to help you guys. Okay, so check that out. He talks about the expectation per each leadership principle. The more you know about your background, at the very bare minimum, what is your career highlight? Okay, what is the largest problem that you have solved? This is not just for Amazon, this is for any company. Okay? Hey, Christian. Christian says, well, hello again to you. I have a phone interview with a hiring manager for an L5 staffing specialist role. I have a big smile on my face every time I've encountered any staffing professional. Last week and have been invited for a full loop. Wait, hang on. Where's my... Yay! So happy for you. Congratulations for making it this far. Thanks for your... Well, you're welcome. Again, make sure you check out my my on-site process video, okay? It's basically, if you look at my playlist, I know that some of you don't know what playlist is. If you go to my channel, it's very simple. Just go to my channel, youtube.com/HollyLeeCoaching, and you go to playlist, look at everything under Amazon. It will help you get a job with Amazon or with other employer because of the process and my prepping strategies, okay? Hey, Vish, I took a peek while I was setting up, and I can tell that you came early. Vish says, can you brief about customer solution specialists? There's actually a couple customer solution questions previously. I have actually recently done some of the prep work on expectations, the type of interview to ask specifically for Amazon. It's all over Glassdoor. If you go to Glassdoor and type feedback or interview feedback, you should be able to see a list of all the role and its questions, okay? And if you have questions around that, if you can't find what you're looking for, come back here and I'm more than happy to direct you to the right video. With Amazon, how many times can we appear? How many times can we appear for interview in a year for different role, as I'm interested in BABIE and data science roles? Well, those all could have different terminology for all the position. It's all depending on your feedback, okay? If you're applying for the role, for example, and get a rejection letter, then I would stop applying for all of those roles versus I would look at my resume and compare that to the job description and see what is missing. Does your resume match a job description at 80%? If the answer is no, then you could apply until the cow comes home. You won't make it through the application process. So assuming that you have made it through the phone screen or the on-site loop and didn't get past those stages, that means that if you look back at the type of questions that's being asked, Vish, you can kind of almost figure out where in what type of questions that you could have done better. But the bottom line is, if your resume doesn't match the job descriptions, you won't get very far in the application process, okay? I'm not able to find people with the title Customer Solutions Specialist on LinkedIn or any info on Glassdoor. Yes, they are absolutely on Glassdoor because I've literally done it 2 days ago. It is on there, okay? Looked at my how to network. It's in my LinkedIn playlist. I have playlists for almost everything. I'm still working on my playlist, but it is called job search and also networking on LinkedIn. Everything is LinkedIn. It's under the power of LinkedIn. There's only 4 to 5 video, and I did a demo in Glassdoor specifically to walk you through how to pull up those questions. It is in there. Okay, it may not be in Quora because Quora is a lot of engineering heavy. Engineering leadership, a lot of product manager and PM. Okay. Hey, Idu says, super happy it's Tuesday again, which means it's another day for Q&A. My name is Edward. I wish to request for an area manager interviewed question template. do me a favor. I haven't had the time yet. That's why I'm asking everyone to do this. If you go to my, and all the link is in the description, by the way, guys. And I'll put it in the description later on, where you go to my website. It's hallsleeve.com/freebie. All of my template that is on there, except the interview questions to ask the interviewer. So I will add that on later on this evening, so that I don't have to respond to each one of you guys individually. Okay. Ideally, I wanted to do that because I really truly do wanted to get to know you, wanting to find out where your pain point is, so that I'm not just sending you to my website to download just to download. Okay. So go back to this live stream. If you go into the description session, there should be a link of freebie, and I will add my interview questions to ask towards the end of the interview. Cool. All right. Raphael says, I've got through my first phone interview and I will have a second one on Friday. Yay! Good luck to you. Thanks for everything. Well, you're welcome. I'm glad it helped and it worked out. Share with your friends. Hey, Milton. Milton, thank you so much for recently joining my Patreon community as well. I'm a veteran with medical insurance. Can I just don't take the medical insurance and ask for more compensation of employer? No. With at least in the U.S., and I can only speak for, well, U.S. and also MIA, the company that I have worked for. Okay, you cannot negotiate for more money and dropping your 401k contribution, for example, or how negotiating on your medical benefits, whether you take it or not, is given to you. You certainly don't have to sign up for medical or dental or vision, any of those benefits. But why wouldn't you? Because the company is paying for majority of it, and most companies are paying for 75%, if not more. Okay, you cannot use that to leverage your salary negotiation. Versus, I would coach you on negotiating on your base salary or your bonus or your equity. Basically, what is important for you. Yes, there will be a video on salary negotiation that will be coming up. I know those of you who's been following me, quite a lot of you guys for the last 2 months know that I'm still slowly going back into my home. It's happening, guys. I'm waiting impatiently, but I'm hoping next Tuesday my scenery would change. I just really need a better setup so I could pump in more content, okay? I'm actually really right against the wall right now, so I'm not in the best of space and mind to do that, but it is coming. Hello, welcome back, my friend, Ricardo. You're welcome. This time, my process came to an end. Good experience preparing the interview. I'll continue following you. Thank you so much. Ricardo, I know that you have been battling with getting feedback and leveraging the recruiter through the entire Amazon process. The one thing that I would ask for you to do, those who did not get an offer from Amazon, is to think back and write out all the questions that would ask and how could you have done better, not just for Amazon's sake, but for other employers, okay? And don't put all your eggs in one basket. Why wouldn't you want to look to see what other companies are hiring? I am making this statement because literally a lot of you guys only care to interview at Amazon. I get it. It is your dream company, but oftentimes we say we know what our passion are, but passion don't really mean much until you get the job, and your passion will change based on the scope of your work, okay? And as you're working for large organizations, just large organization in general, there's going to be a number of reorg, which means your scope is going to change. You may love it today and not love it next month, okay? So rather than looking, Amazon is a great company to grow your skill, don't get me wrong. It's the biggest giant in the world right now, and it has been for the last decade, and it will continue to be. But I don't want you. I know that it's devastating, trying to get into your dream company. I just want you to be broad and have your list of top 3, top 5 company to go after, and ways that you could improve in your last interview, so you could add that into your future ones. Okay. And if you wanted to continue coaching on a daily basis, I do have that in my Patreon community as well. Okay. Hey, Raphael. Vendor management. There's a lot of vendor management position, operation, and logistic. Again, look at my previous stream on the Amazon interview tips playlist. Okay, and if you can't find it, I welcome you to leave me a comment in those video. It is coming. I have a whole laundry list of content that I needed to pump out for you guys on top of this. It will come. It's going to come towards the end of July. Hello, Arul. Welcome back. Arul says, you say more than 60, 90 second would be too much for leadership principle, but the bar racer meant to ask 3 leadership principles. So how would you do it for a remainder of the 1 hour? What are the follow-ups I can expect? And that's a great question. I actually spoke about that in one of the many live, which is a 60-second elevator pitch. By the way, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it is this one. It is my 60-second elevator pitch template. If you have not already, make sure you download that. It is step by step, and I believe I did this a year ago. It's about 5 steps to walk you through in how you can prep, what research you could do, and how to answer those questions using the STAR methods. So make sure you guys download that, and I'll leave the link later on in the description, okay? It's very, very simple, my friend. Your interview is about 45 minutes or an hour. Okay. Nowadays, what I'm hearing, it's about 45 minutes because the interviewer is not rushing to the conference room. Okay. The conference room is not overbooked or triple booked. That means they're not rushing. So you're scheduled for a 45-minute interview. Okay. The first 5-10 minutes is small talk. Hey, how's it going? Why are you interested in Amazon or ABC company? Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your background. Oh, wow. You got some great things going on here in your resume. Did you recently went through a career transition? So there's a lot of small talk. Okay. And they will ask you, some of them do ask you, do you have any questions for me before we start? If an interviewer asks you that questions, I would wait until the very end because you don't want to use up all that time. You want to be able to use up those time. You think that 45 minutes will go by slow? That's not the case. Okay. Now the interview clock starts and you have about, let's just say 35 minutes to start your interview. Okay. The interviewer asked you one question and you responded within 1 minute. Done. Bravo to you. Now the interviewer is going to ask you 5 probing questions on top of that one questions. So depending on how the interviewer asks you questions, now the interviewer probing question is not prepared, right? So it's all based on what your answer to them that opens a can of worms to basically set yourself up with the type of probing question. Okay, so the interviewer most likely is going to ask you anywhere between 3 to 5 probing questions. And sometimes they need to pause for a second to think of ones that are relevant to the role as well as your background. Okay, now with that said and done, that's about 10 minutes. Okay, so you do the math. If the interviewer has 2 to 3, roughly about 3 leadership principles, right? And each question takes about 10 minutes, right? You produce 1 minute, but they're going to ask you probing questions. Let me know if what I just said makes sense to you. Hey, Ann says, after the loop, if it's a yes from the bar racer, peer, and senior manager versus no from the manager or another senior manager, what could be the possible outcome from your experience? First of all, it's really unlikely the percentage of everyone is going to give you a thumbs up unless it is a stellar, obvious hire, which means you have the industry background, the skill, the year of experience, and everything they're looking for. Usually there's got to be 1 or 2 people who's not going to incline. It's really up in the end of the day, it's up to the hiring manager to fight for you. Okay, if the bar racer doesn't agree or one of the direct report, depending on the feedback. Okay, let me give you guys an example. If I'm your peer and I'm interviewing you and I'm not inclined to hire you and I'm like dead on not inclined because I just don't see myself sitting next to you and well, in this case virtually, right? But you will be going back in the office pretty soon here. I don't see myself sitting next to you or collaborating with you based on your communication skill or your lack of diving deep. I'm having a hard time understanding the way you explain or walk me through your problems. Okay, if I'm giving that feedback, the bar racer and the hiring manager and everyone else really love you and ready to move forward with an offer, then it's really up to the bar racer and or also the hiring managers, all eyes on the hiring managers, right? Well, are you able to coach this person around that? Do you have someone as a mentor to help onboard this individual when they start? Again, this is not just Amazon. This is for any employer. Okay, so the hiring manager's job is, if you hire someone that is not pleasing to your entire team, that I have to be sitting next to you, collaborating with you, even in cross-functional team or in a different org where I know that I'm evaluating you to see if you are as good as my other peers. If I don't like what I'm seeing or hearing, it's all at the end of the day up to the hiring manager's call, but they better have a plan to do so. Okay, and there are often time where the candidate don't have all the key components, and it is a hire because the hiring managers and team truly love the aptitude, the hunger from the candidate. That is a great time for the managers to put an onboarding plan together and make sure this individual is set up to be successful. That's really the best tip I can give you, and that's what I've seen across my career. All right. David, congratulations on your interview that's coming up in a few hours. Let's go. I love it. Look at David's photo. I love this photo. Look at that. I love it. Let me know how it goes, okay, buddy? Okay, a rule says, and the reason why you see same names popping is because YouTube only have a 200 cap, okay? That's why you see repeated name. I wanted to make sure that I'm able to answer all of them. How deeper can they get into scripting Python in final interview, as I am from networking background and not software? Well, if you're from a networking or networking infrastructure, I'm assuming, or data center kind of guy, they don't really do a whole lot of coding. Then obviously you need to know that you have to be exposed in the environment, but you don't need to really code to that level. Again, I would defer that back to the job description. If the job description says you need development background, or do you need the knowledge, or you need to code in Python, right? Because those two are different things. But for networking folks, it really depends on what are you doing and what is your scope. Some of them do code, but not all of them. How to impress the hiring manager in the last round as the only SLP and not technical. A rule, the thing is, the hiring manager is not always going to ask you leadership principle. There will come a time that they will ask you system design, architecture, if you're not in a networking area, or, can you tell me what is the networking infrastructure? Can you design it for me? Can you show me what you've done on the whiteboard? Okay, there will come a time that they will ask you those questions. Not always. That's why many of you have asked me, how do I impress the bar raiser, the hiring manager, my peers? It doesn't matter, guys. Your job is to make sure that you show up right and ready to answer and ace. Take the job home with you. Okay, so the more you are familiar with everything in the job description, the more you are going to land an offer with any employer. Hey, Sandy, congratulations on getting an interview with Amazon. Let me know how that goes. Hey, Red Riding Hood. By the way, I know that there's many questions, and I will stay here as long as I can to answer all of them. But if you want me to answer your questions first, feel free to buy me a cup of coffee by leaving a super chat if you want your questions to be answered at the very top. Okay, and that's the only way for me to capture that. So, your question for this week, Red Riding Hood, you've been around since the very beginning. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I was explicitly mentioned in Chime. Chime is the video conferencing platform that Amazon used, by the way. It's also in-house built by Amazon. The last interviewer was my bar raiser. How did you know the last interviewer was your BR? Just curious. He said, excellent, good. Hiring manager was supple. Fingers crossed. You know what, guys? I don't even... sometimes if I have been in an interview as an interviewer where the candidate was really nervous. So to make them feel better, I've actually told them that, it's good. You're doing well. Just keep on going as an encouragement. So you could take it in two ways. The end of the day is, I know that you have show up every single week, Red Riding Hood. I know that's not your real name. And I know that you've done your due diligence and all of your homework in creating your stories. Now, I have not seen any of your stories, so fingers crossed. I know you really wanted this position, so I genuinely hope that you get this, okay? Hey, Liliana. Hey, Jan. Jan says, hang on, before I mention what Jan says, I apply to sales ops leads for AWS EMEA. The role does say level or years of experience. How do I know if I'm qualified? Well, that's really simple. As mentioned before, if you compare the job description and the year of experience to your resume, you pretty much know it needs to meet at least 80%, guys, Amazon or not, okay? Generally, any employers don't like to mention level because that's really misleading. Let me explain myself. If you have 8 years experience at a startup, at Amazon, you're probably a level 4 or 5 because the startup probably take you, well, I don't mean to sound negative here. It takes longer for a startup to be able to influence a billion customer versus like an Amazon, for example. Okay. So just because you have 8 years of experience and you have to be with a company for at least a couple of years to demonstrate that you've actually shipped something, built something, and it went live for millions, if not a billion user. Okay. So if you see a job description that says 5+ years or 6+ years, generally it means senior at an Amazon standard or other big company. But in theory, for you to get a level 6 or senior, you need to have at the bare minimum 10 years experience. From a lot of the folks that I have hired for Amazon and other organizations, 10+ years is senior. That's just how it goes because you have to be able to code and the quality of code at that caliber. How is Excel skill tested? Well, I can't tell you how Excel skill is tested because I don't support the ops or operation or logistic side. What I can tell you is if they're reaching out to you, there's got to be things that they really love in your background. And if you need to know certain functionality of Excel, I guarantee you can find it in the job description as well. Okay. And on top of all of that, at the bare basic, you need to know how to manipulate data, extract data, your pie charts, a lot of the basic functionality. You should be very comfortable, especially operation. It's all about the spreadsheet with those guys. I know that because I've worked with a lot of different partners during my Kindle stage. Hello, Jose. Jose says, for those of you who have passed the phone interview, any recommendation? That's awesome. For those of you who passed a phone interview or passed the on-site or have a job offer, could you please put on there? And if there's any tip at all that you could offer, please do share. Okay. And for those who are new to my channel, if you haven't subscribed, please do so, hit the bell notification so that YouTube can remind you when I do go live. But if you want a reminder, usually I do it the morning of. This is just live stream. I will be having other webinar. I can't talk. Webinar that's coming up. So make sure you subscribe to my business channel so that you could receive my weekly, once a week newsletter as well. Okay. Hey, Ravi. Robbie says, I cleared my interview but didn't get the role for which I interviewed for. What to anticipate next? Well, if you didn't get the role that you interviewed for, you need to ask yourself what area, how could you have done better with the position that you interviewed for? Okay. I mean, honestly, guys, if you pay attention to the interviewer when they're asking you the questions, if they ask you probing question, it could be a good and bad thing. If they ask you probing questions and they have to smile on their face, and you can tell when someone's really interested in having a ping pong dialogue with you versus someone who's asking you questions and you and waiting for an answer and repeating the questions to you, that means that you have not answered their questions. So take whatever those questions are and improve in those area. And if Amazon is a company that you truly wanted to get in, I will say try to gain those knowledge at other companies and reapply in a year. The odd is, guys, if you reapply for the same role, even in different teams or even different country, the bar is the same. Okay, that's just, again, any company. The bar is across organizations of the same position title. It's really relevant one or another. Okay. So I would try to gain those experience working for employer before reapplying. If not, you could study Or actually, if you were to study, I would recommend that you take a course if it has to do with coding. I've gotten a lot of engineers and technical program managers lately who's asking me and my best tips and strategies in helping them pass a design interview. If you're lacking design architectures and design infrastructures, and for example, how do you create a news feed on Facebook? I'm just throwing it out there. And that's actually an interview questions at Amazon, by the way, because I saw that on Glassdoor. Okay. And guys, everything I'm sharing with you today, you can find that in the public World Wide Web. And that's why I'm only sharing information that I know you can find online and based on my personal experience. Are we good? So I would highly recommend that you take a course if it's your technical background, okay? If it's coding or designing, anything like that, take a course. It takes about 3 months for you to understand on the technical depth and the technical breadth before you do it again. You may already have the job experience. You may just not be able to code or design in the level that a big company would ask of you. Even startup, a lot of the pre-IPO that I've worked with recently, I was also affected by a pandemic with the two pre-IPO company, and they're international companies, okay? And the type of questions they're asking are not exactly easy. Their model is very similar to the Amazon leadership principle as well. I hope that helps. Okay. Um, and I'm seeing mute, mute, mute. Okay. Hello, Bella. How are you? Oh, I love this. Look at this. Bella says, star, 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 star. I love it. Bella knows what I like. We'll get to the star towards the end. I don't want to bombard the new folks of what star really means. Okay. And at any, I'm seeing, I can hear you now. Okay, good, good. Because I'm seeing a lot of notes. Hi, Fatima. How are you? Welcome back. Hey, Salim. I think this is your first time here. Hey, Zoe. Hi, Olga. Hey, Shaless. Hey, Dev. Hello, Will. Hi, Aloha. Thank you for coming back. Hey, Dipto. I like to maintain my relationship. I shouldn't say maintain my relationship. Of course, I want to maintain my relationship with you guys. I like to have a personal touch with my relationship building. That is one of the core that I like to say that I am good at. So I like to acknowledge people who are showing up for me. Yes, I am providing free coaching for you guys, but I think it's important where you're not invisible. I know that generally there's quite a few people who's watching. They may not be commenting, but the ones that they are, you're also taking time out of your busy day. Okay, I mean, especially when you're a parent, I know how that works. A rule says, a rule says, how do you evaluate LPs when you all meet after the interview day? Is it like how many LPs he said or how deeper he went? No, the leadership principle is all about what areas of the core Amazon core value did you meet, and where in what area did you lack experience or need improvement on. Again, this is not just Amazon, it's just any company. ABC company may not call it leadership principle, they may call it core value. And as you all know, every company has their own core value. Okay, they may not call it bias for action, but they would actually call it move fast. They may not call it customer obsession, but a lot of them call it customer centric, customer focused, right? So you guys get the idea. So it's important for any new hire coming on to demonstrate already having those core value, because a lot of those core value you can't really train somebody. There's a lot of you saying hi and telling me you can't hear me. Hey, Deborah. Hey, Olga. Oh, there's many of you jumping at the same time. Okay, let's go with Vanessa. Hey, David. Vanessa says, Vanessa says, I had an interview 1 month ago. She told me they loved my answer and thought it could be a good fit, but due to COVID and working permits, we're taking too long. Questions, next comment. Vanessa, I have a feeling that you have more. Okay, here you are. She told me that we could try again in a few months to see if we got luckier. Would you recommend me to keep applying to the position in other locations? If work permit is an issue, I would ask you to not keep on applying to other role. The odds are you will still run through the same hurdle with your work permit. Okay? Rather than doing so, if I'm the recruiter, I would try to see what would be a good fit for you. I would stay in touch with that recruiter. You do want to check out my networking on LinkedIn. I actually walk you through how to search for recruiter for a specific group within Amazon or within any company for that matter. Okay, with a personalized message. Yes, I actually wrote the entire message and show you guys how to do it by geography so that you could stay in contact with those recruiter when things are back to normal. I'm hoping that it will be towards the end of the year. Then the work permit won't be an issue anymore, and you can start hot instead of starting cold and start over again with getting leads. Okay, this is a great time, guys, for you to build your relationship and network with the right recruiters and the right hiring managers for that matter. So go check out the Power of LinkedIn playlist, and it is called Networking and Job Search using LinkedIn. Hey, Art of War. Art of War says, what to do if I feel like no matter how good I do for interview, they will say no. That's just a confident thing. Um, if you guys honestly, by a show of hand, give me a thumbs up if you spend at least 3 months or more prepping for your job interviewed, and you could tell me right now that you've done everything to prep for the job interview, everything meaning you actually have your story around the STAR methods in answering them concise, um, with clarity, in depth, and concise at the same time using the STAR method and creating a lot of story meaning at least 10 if not 15 plus stories. Give me a thumbs up and let me know you have already done that. If you've done all of that, oh, and by the way, before I forget, there was an amazing posting from LinkedIn that I came across yesterday. His name is Simon. I'm sharing his post right now. I actually reshared for my own channel, which is why you see that I'm sitting on the side today. Look at this. Check this out, guys. And I want to just put it up there for a full minute. This is a new grad who have a job interviewed and fell. And because he didn't have industry experience and he bombed his interview, but look at him. He climbed back up and it made him study even harder, and he put all of the questions, and you could even zoom in, questions and answer, and he put it on a sticky page on his wall. And this is pretty similar to how I coach my client, not exactly to this degree. That's why I was so blown away that I had to repost and share this on my LinkedIn so that you guys can benefit from it. If you guys can tell me, you don't have to be this drastic, but if you do, perfect. If you can tell me you list out all of your questions, and the funny thing is when I came across this post in my 60-second elevator pitch video, which is my very first video on YouTube with horrific eye contact, by the way, I talked a lot about handwriting much better than typing. This is the perfect example because when you handwrite and you stick it to the wall, it goes into your memory a lot quicker, okay? If you do it again and again and you repeat yourself, now it's a month, 2 months, 3 months, and when you do finally get that job interviewed, you will feel so much more at ease. You're gonna be nervous regardless. I'm nervous coming live stream every single week for you guys. God knows how many live streams that I've done, and I'm still nervous that something will fall apart or something might happen to my stream and it would just get cut off. Okay, it's okay to be nervous, but you need to show up and not show the interviewer that you're shaking. Okay, so the more story you have, look at this guy. We're talking about someone who doesn't even have all the components, all the experience. That's why I have to give it to him. This is just amazing. So I want you to really take this as a grain of salt as you're listing out the leadership principle and answering the top behavioral question. It is all in my Amazon leadership principle playlist, guys. Okay. And the reason why I don't give you the answer, because I don't want to do the work for you. You're not going to ace the interview if I'm doing all of that for you. And all of you guys have a unique background. So it wouldn't even matter for the rest of the audience. Okay. There. I have to get that out of the way. Hey, Bella. Bella says, should we email the recruiter via LinkedIn? Yes, absolutely. Email the recruiter via LinkedIn so that they could also take a peek at your LinkedIn profile. By the way, guys, before you email the recruiter or the hiring managers or anyone with in a position to hire, you guys need to check out my LinkedIn playlist. I talked a lot about statistics. I can't remember the number. The number have changed dramatically, right? From 2019 to 20 and 20. There are so many millions of decision maker on LinkedIn. You have to make sure that your LinkedIn branding is polished and it represents your skill for the future role. If you don't understand what you're looking for the next role, the recruiter most likely are not going to respond to you, because the recruiter's job is really it's very tight at the moment because they're getting so many applicants, so many messages. So you need to be able to stand out. Okay. Again, I even walk you through how to do that on my LinkedIn playlist. Great time to network, guys. Get those jobs. And once you get those jobs, you guys know it's really hard to land a job interview with employer these days, especially ones that have a lot of open position. You got one shot. So make sure you are prepared. And if you're not prepared, cancel that interview or postpone it a couple of weeks later. If the role is filled, that's great. Let the role go by, okay? And reapply or stay in touch with the recruiter, because would you rather the position that Amazon is reaching out to you to be closed or filled with another candidate, or would you rather your feedback to be in the system forever where you have failed? And that also takes you steps back into re-interviewing again in a year or two. Okay? So that decision is yours. You know where I'm going with this. Fatima says, which positions... Oh, did I lose your... Here you are. Fatima says, which position is Excel task given? Again, I don't handle non-tech positions, but Excels are everything that is part of your work, okay? For me, it's very easy to give my coaching advice to you guys. I don't need to have experience filling any office position or non-tech. If the job descriptions call for data, spreadsheet, anything with the word data on it, by the way, or Excel is a given word, you have to know at least the very basic on how to use the spreadsheet. And if you are enjoying this live stream so far, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you're still with me. Hey, Asip. Asip says, I'm ready for the loop next week. I was asked to do a writing exercise. How much of an impact does the quality of the writing exercise have on the hiring processes? A lot. Okay? Your writing exercise is the foundation for all of the interviewer to read before they interview you. Even if they don't have time to read it, they absolutely will during the debrief. They wanted to know if you're able to dive deep and think big at the bare minimum in answering the questions. I know that you're giving 2 questions to choose from. I can't remember all the questions because there's so many of them. Go check out my writing exercise video. Yes, I have a video on that as well to help you prep. Don't forget, guys, your grammatical errors and your font and everything that you do have to show up very, very well. Okay? It is a preview of what they're getting into. Once you're there as a level 6 or above, you have to write a lot of paper. Okay? And when you write paper at Amazon, we're not talking about 1, 2, 3 pages. We're talking about 20, 30 pages. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Hey, Red Riding Hood, let me know if I've answered your question. Hey, Need to. Need to. I got your message on my LinkedIn comment and all of that. Well, first, go. I have so many interview tips for HR professional. HR is very vague. Is it HR BP, HR business partner, HR generalist, HR assistants? What part of HR? Okay. Amazon or any company is very specific. If you're interviewing for any role in HR, your ability to maintain relationship with stakeholder and the recruiting team is huge. You have two customers. One are the stakeholder or the business teams. Two are the recruiting team because you'll be partnering with the recruiter or the recruiting leader to execute on some of the projects to improve, for example, like interviewed candidate experience with the stakeholder or the hiring team. Okay. And if the recruiters fall short on candidate experience or not being able to have a realistic turnaround time from the moment that someone reaches out to you to you getting an offer shouldn't take the entire month. I've heard feedback from my clients that it takes them 3 weeks for an onsite to be scheduled. So how would you fix that problem with the recruiter? Because those are some of the projects that when I was a recruiter or the recruiter who were reporting to me are leveraging our HR business partner or even our special HR business partner. They work very, very closely. Generalist is more on the benefit side and maybe some of the communication issues. Okay. So if you have those experience, you have to really write out your stories on who are your customer, how did you help them, what have you done above and beyond to solve problems, and by the way, what type of problems have you solved as an HR professional. Okay. And by the way, guys, HR and recruiting are not the same language. Recruiting and HR are not. So make sure you look at the previous live stream. A lot of the comments says, well, HR reach out to me. HR will never reach out to you, but the recruiter does. Okay. Hey, Prachi. Prachi says, are there, oh, are there standard questions a candidate should expect from a bar raiser? I'm taking my fifth and last round next week. Congratulations. Good vibes for an L5 customer service workflow manager at Amazon. Sounds like a really fun and exciting position to be in. I don't know what questions the bar raiser would ask you. I also don't know the type of question any interviewer would ask you. And the advice I can give you guys is don't focus too much on what who asked you and what position they're in. Just focus on knowing your own brand and your high level achievement. How basically why should they hire you with the skills that you have, and how could your skill add value into the position based on what they're calling for as a workflow manager. Okay. You guys are spending way too much time in how to impress the hiring managers or the bar racer when that really shouldn't be a factor. Okay. At the end of the day, even if they are not inclined, your peers or other folks could have your back in wanting you to join. So your expectation, or I should not expect, your enthusiasm, I can't talk, your enthusiasm and your style of prepping for your job interview should be the same across every single interviewer, from the recruiter call to your phone screen and to the panel loop. Okay. And let me repeat myself one more time. Stop, guys, stop thinking about the bar racer. It's just the bar racer. It's just another interview. Okay. As mentioned before in the previous stream, the bar racer could be your peer who's interviewing you, could be the hiring manager, could be you once you join Amazon. After being with Amazon for 6+ months or a year, you could become a bar raiser too. Okay. They're just like any other employees. So don't be so fixated on the type of questions. And I'm not just picking on you, Prachi. That's a lot of people who's been asking me that. Focus on the right thing and have your story, and star. Okay. And when I say star, it is, of course, in my freebie section. Let me just put it right here. It's halsley.com. If you go there, all my templates are on there. Okay, guys? You can download the star methods. Make sure that you show up right to those famous job interview. Okay? So, with that said, hey, Ahish, Lord, I can't pronounce the name. Abhishek, thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat. Abhishek says, by the way, I know that I'm really slow to look at the super chat because I am on one single monitor right now, but that is subject to change. Your question is, I interviewed for development engineer 2 last week and got a verbal offer. Yay! Well, it's an offer. That's why I'm clapping. The recruiter said that she's looking for another team for me since the team I interviewed for is looking for SDE2. That's actually a good thing. As mentioned before, the bar is really, really high, guys. For an SDE2, you remember what I've talked about? I don't know if you were here in the first 15 minutes, Abhishek. I talk about the different years of experience, aligning that to the level. Yes, there will be a leveling video that will come out down the road sometime. But for an SDE2, generally those are folks who's been coding for about even 6 to 8 years. They don't meet the bar. Okay, I don't think the Amazon bar is high. I just think that Amazon is looking for individual who could already do the job. And if you an SDE2 or an engineering level 5 or level 5 or SDE2, you should be able to solve the problem with some hint. So if they're giving you a lot of hint and then you end up solving the problem, that would be an SDE1. That's a difference between the two. It's also depending on the scope. It's not a bad thing, okay? I've seen a lot of SDE1 promoted to SDE2 fairly quickly, because if you're interviewing for 2, or level 5, it's telling me that you've got quite a number of years of experience, okay? I would make sure to stay in touch with your recruiter. And the good thing is, because you have an offer and you have meet that SDE1 bar or level 4, it stays in the system. So other recruiters could also get in touch with you that way as well. Okay? Okay. I have to scroll back up. I know it's painful. Bear with me. The difference between a 5,000 subscriber versus a 10,000 subscriber is I can view my super chat and other things much more, and I can actually drag them up a lot faster. So I'm trying to work up my subscriber count, okay? So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so. Hey, Jan says, and if you have any more questions, Abhishek, make sure you listen down, okay? Hi, Holly. What is the difference between Apple and Amazon interview? Yay! I'm so happy that someone had actually asked me about interview prepped and advice outside of Amazon. Not that I have a problem talking about it. I don't want this to only be an Amazon channel, okay? I am a career coach for individual who's interested in getting into all of the big tech company. The interview, let's see. I think there's a lot of similarity. Apple doesn't really focus too much on behavioral questions. I shouldn't say too much. I think, okay, let me just take a step backward. A lot of the big company, and also just to say tech company alone, the bare bone is that there's 50% behavioral questions and 50% technical questions. At Apple, I can see that there's a lot of similarity, but the major difference is that at Amazon, they really dive deep. That's the difference. Now, if anyone's watching and they work for Apple, I would challenge them to come in, correct me, because I'm not an Amazon recruiter. I wouldn't know that, but I do have friends who are there. Okay. I just know, and I've hired a lot of people. Half of my Kindle team came from Apple. Okay. And I do ask them to give me feedback as a candidate feedback in the new hire survey, and how I could improve my process versus where they came from at Apple. And this is just generating a lot of everything that I've done in my personal career during my time at Amazon hiring for Apple talent. Okay. They dive a lot deeper at Amazon, because Amazon, and so does Apple, right? But I think maybe it's a little bit more at Amazon, because Amazon has so much more products and services where you almost have to master of all. You don't need to be an expert on one thing, but you need to be mastering in all of it. And what I meant is, let's just use SDE for example, okay? If you're a software engineer, and if you're coming from a consumer background and you only code in Java, okay, building website or products or categories for e-commerce or marketplace, you will need to be so well-rounded in all the building out vendor management, building out customer management, all the different kind. You see where I'm going? So it's very broad across, and Amazon love interviewing folks to dive deep to know how productive you will be. So does Apple, okay? How productive you will be, but they really do hone down on what you bring on the table. Okay? Hey, Liliana. HRBP business partner. Yep. Basically everything that I've just mentioned, you need to be able to partner with the business leader and the business team very, very well. At least at Amazon, a lot of the business partner does a lot of training as well. So if you have experience with putting training programs together, because I do see a lot of my former HR business partner do that with our business team, right? Because we do support the same business team where they come in with their training materials that they have built and train the entire business group. I will come in and talk about the recruiting of the process side of things. Okay, so it's a thumbs up if you have training background or where you have invented new processes and program for the business team. Hey, Adam. Adam says, physical security project manager next week. Not new to you. I like it. Love it. Well, thanks for coming back. Let me know how it goes. I'm always curious to know how my content can help you land a job. Deborah says, basically feedback for program manager. There are so much, Deborah, on program management interview. That's almost every single live stream. So go to the Amazon interview tips live stream. And as I mentioned earlier on, there's hyperlink to every single one of them. Okay. Program management don't really have technical questions. The only technical questions are your exposure, really your exposure into the type of environment you used to work on, like collaborating with engineers, designers, in that sort of speak on the technical terminology. But you have got to have example in how you put programs together. And for example, how many programs have you put, planned, and execute? And what is your program management lifecycle? You have to be able to answer those type of questions. I love seeing encouragement from you guys. Hey, Monica. Monica says, interviewer for legal counsel operation based in Lux. Monica, I don't know if you were here 2 weeks ago. I'm going to say that you have not. I actually have a friend who, a long time ago, when she got a job at Amazon in the legal team as an L4, so a junior position, and she was asked to write She was asked to produce the writing exercise because apparently in the legal department or the legal org, there's a lot of writing. So that is something for you to be prepared as well. Okay. You don't have to worry about that until you pass the phone interview, obviously, but that just to let you know that it is coming. Hey, Erica. Well, thank you for coming. Welcome, newcomer. Nitu says, would like to prepare for and create stories for HR business partner interview for future. Don't have interview yet, but aim for that. Guys, in my Patreon, I have 3 different tiers, and my tier 3, which is my VIP clients, I call them clients or community, either one. So weekly, every single week, I do have coaching, live coaching via Zoom. And some of the things we talk about is reviewing their branding live. We also talked about STAR methods and also reviewing their Amazon writing exercise, so on and so forth, down to the questions and answer. Okay. So if you guys are interested in working with me more closely on a weekly basis, you may want to check out my Patreon group. Okay. That is a weekly live. Hello, Ankit from India. Hey, Starperk. I gave my first round today versus tests, waiting for the result now. I applied for the position of team manager VCS. Well, congratulations for making it that far. Please do let me know regardless of the outcome. Adula, thank you so much for the star. I go crazy every time somebody says star. It's all about the star, guys. And by the way, talking about the star, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, this is a template that you can download, and this is my personal example at Amazon. Okay, you can get a copy of that in a PDF version by the link that I just typed below. You have to create your story. If you looked at my personal example, which I really should redo because it's been so long ago since I've done that. The bottom line is, if you looked at my example, I put no more than 2 sentences per each section. Okay? And when you do so, you can answer the questions within a minute or less. That's why it is formatted that way. Red Riding Hood says, after the pure phone interview, is the decision solely peer, or is it the hiring manager also involved in the decision to move forward? If you have a phone interview, the decision is purely based on that individual who is interviewing you. Okay? Allison says, I will be having the loop interview for campaign and creative manager. The suggestions do you have for me? Is there a technical test for this? If you're interviewing for campaign and creative managers, I can't think of technical questions. And again, I don't handle non-tech positions, so I don't want to give you the wrong information. But I would absolutely look at the job description again to see if there's any terminology that pops up, okay? And that's how you guys really prepped. I don't need to know the position. You don't need to know the full scope. But if you look at the job description, it's basically telling you exactly what you're getting into. I know that most company, the job description is very vague, and you probably perform about 50%-ish or so once you get the job offer. But at Amazon, you perform maybe 100% on top of whatever the job description entails. All right? Hey, Jay, thank you so much for coming here and supporting my channel. Hey, by the way, for those who are really shy, I can tell that there's 80 of you watching right now. Give me a thumbs up if you are enjoying this content and you're having a good time. Let me know that you're still with me, those 80 folks that are behind the scene. Hi, London, or Joe. Hey, Joe. Yay! I love seeing my community here. Erica is asking Vanessa, what country are you applying for and waiting on the permit? And I know that it's not just Amazon. We have No Name. We have somebody put on hold on immigration and permit. Smile. I am hoping that would be lifted pretty soon. So it helps to also look at locally the country or the continent that you're in, see if you could work in those geography, or even when you're applying for a role, make sure you're very specific to the recruiter if you can work remotely where you don't need a work permit, and eventually transfer. I believe it is a L1, T1 or L1. I believe it's L1 visa, which is internal transfer even from country to country. Okay? Congratulations, Jay. Good luck to you on your on your interview next week. Hey, Jose. Jose says, I have in 2 days my phone screen interviewed. I have a question. How critical to have a graduate diploma apply for product management position? To be honest with you guys, I know a senior engineering leader who doesn't have a college degree. I have known of director who doesn't have a college degree. It's great if you have a college degree or a diploma. When you say diploma, I'm assuming that you're talking about college diploma, right? Education is not really all that big at Amazon. However, if you're interviewing at like a Facebook or a Google, specifically at Google, it's all academia based. On top of that, they look at elite school and top tier as the first, like the Harvard and Stanford of the world and Carnegie Mellon. Okay. Of course, all organizations care about that, but it's not a deal breaker. Deal breaker at Amazon. At the end of the day, they wanted to see if you're able to perform the job that you're hired to do. Hey, Elsie. Elsie says, Any tips of getting interview with other tech firms? Google, Microsoft, others. Does direct application work? Yes, direct application work. But my tip again to you guys is, I would rather have you guys focus on networking through in reaching out to the right recruiter or reaching out to a hiring manager. How do you know if one is a hiring manager? Because the position title, if you are a senior, let's just say you are a senior program manager, then you want to reach out to a director or a senior manager. Okay, those are hiring managers. So again, check out my LinkedIn playlist. There's a networking video to show you how to do all of that. I'm actually going to run a live stream webinar to walk you guys through the job search process. It's just that with this live stream, so many of you already have a job interviewed, and this is majority, the bulk of my audience, and I'm trying to cater and add value right now. But I know that there is about a 30% of you guys who are in the job search process. So I'm trying to deliver to those audience as well. All right. Hey, Deb. Dev says, please check my comment above. It was the first one before the live stream. Really need some insight. Okay, let's do that. Let me grab my phone here. Okay, that's why I have a backup. Don't worry. Next week, fingers crossed. Once I'm back home, I miss my 1 terabyte Wi-Fi. So this is Def. Def says, yes, yes, yes. Def, what are you? 3 weeks old now. Hey, Def. So you've been here for 3 weeks. I know, guys. My apologies. I know I'm putting someone on hold. But if someone has been around for 3 weeks and I missed a comment, and here you go, I found you. Actually, no, I don't see a comment at all. I'm using my phone and on here. So if you want to, your comment is probably moved by itself in the very bottom. I don't know why YouTube does that, but it does it sometime. My apologies. You don't have to buy me coffee, but if you do, your comment will pop up, okay? So if you could please retype your comment below and I will get to you. I really did try to search for it. Hey, Celine. Celine says, in my loop interview is next Monday with Amazon Senior Construction Manager. So make sure you check out my my on-site interview process, okay? That is the thumbnail on my my main YouTube channel. You cannot miss that. Hey, Ankit. Ankit says, I have an incident manager phone interview on the 10th. Good luck to you. I've watched all your video. Will be all your videos, but it will be elevator pitch, the STAR method, leadership principle. I need your help on. Tell me something about yourself. Ankit, I believe you missed this. My very first, or one of my very first live stream, 6 weeks ago, was actually tell me about yourself. So go check out the video. It's called Tell Me About Yourself, as an example. So there's like a number of example on there. I will eventually come back again. As you can see, Ankit, there's no way for me to help you right now because I don't have your resume. I don't know your background and I can't hear you. Okay. So if you need help on all of that and creating your story, Patreon may be a good way for you. You could look at the different tier to your liking and let me know how I can help you. Okay, buddy? If not, it will come back again, but it's all about prioritizations. I just don't want to do another tell me about yourself when I have one person show up. Okay? Hey, Erica. Erica says, Vanessa, did you finish all the interview already and then stopped the application due to COVID? That's an excellent question. Dreams on Cloud. I love your photo, Dreams on Cloud. I know exactly who you are. Thanks for coming here. Seen all the video. Big thanks to Holly. You're welcome. Level 6 sales role. Clear loop interview, but didn't got the specific role for which I was interviewed. What you anticipate? What do you mean by you didn't get a specific role for which you were interviewed? Do you know what role you were interviewing for? And if you clear, meaning if you pass the first loop, did they or anyone tell you what is the next step? Because generally a recruiter should be following up with you in every 2 business days. And if you haven't, Dreams on the Cloud, make sure you follow up. And by the way, I can't stop staring. I love your photo picture. And I'm pretty sure you have the same thing on your LinkedIn. Excellent. Professional with a friendly face. Hey, Liana. Liana says, Holly, your tips were useful for my phone interview last week. Next Friday is my full day interview for HRBP position in logistic. Would you recommend me something specific to get the job? No, I would say prep like how you have prepped for your phone interview. It's your story, guys. It's your story, 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 story. You have to highlight your story. The example that I gave earlier from Simon and how he wrote out all of his story around your leadership principle, you don't need to have 30 or 28 different story. Like if you do, hey, it's all to it, okay? But I talked about in the last few weeks how it's all depending on how well you construct your story, articulate them, and answer them to hit majority of the leadership principle. And I actually gave you guys a lot of example. So go watch the previous one. It's called Star Methods Example and LP Examples. I know. I don't know. I'm not sure why my comments are jumping like crazy right now. Google, work with me here. I'm trying to live stream for all this professional. You welcome, Faris. I'm interviewing for TPM Edge Network. Well, I've never heard of Edge Network Infrastructure due to the final loop. Could you please tell me if the interview will be dive deep more in technical than the first two? If you are having your final interview, which is a panel interview with 4 to 5 people, absolutely. I'm assuming there will be 2 more technical questions, okay? Technical questions around the network infrastructure, and I'm assuming the network infrastructure design. And if no one have asked you for to have you designed the networking design and network infrastructure design, those questions will be asked. Again, make sure you do your homework on Glassdoor as well and see if the TPM for networking, you don't even have to put Edge, just put Technical Program Manager, Network, or even AWS. There should be a whole bunch of TPM questions and answer in Glassdoor. How I know this is that I do look at it once a week because I'm so obsessed with Glassdoor. No, they're not sponsoring me. I'm just a really huge fan of a platform that works so well for me and for me to be able to use their resources and coach you guys. Raphael says, do you recommend to look for interviewer on LinkedIn profile? What do you mean by to look for interviewer? You mean to look for interviewer in your panel? I would say no. Normally, back in the days, I would say, yeah, do your homework, do your due diligence, learn everything you know about the interviewer. Now it's like, no, don't even bother. Don't waste your effort into doing that because time is in essence right now. I'd rather you focus on your time in creating your story. However, if you are going to use LinkedIn, I would say use LinkedIn to network. Okay, assuming that you don't have a job interview, you could absolutely, please do network. This is a great time for you to do that and have warm leads. The market will come back again, guys, just like any other year. Okay, the last big dot bust was 2009. I was a consult 2009 or so, and it was really bad. I have so many friends that was laid off left and right. The recruiters didn't even stick. HR, recruiter, sales, we were the first to go when the economy wiped out, right? So, guys, I feel you guys. I'm here for you. You're not alone. But it's a great time for you guys to network and build your network, okay? Let me know and give me a thumbs up and say yes, job search, or yes, networking. Tell me if you're interested to see a webinar training next week on either A, job search, or B, networking, where I'm actually going to walk you through specifically like this, where I share my screen based on the position that you're in, like this, where I will ask you to tell me your background and I will do that research. So leave me a comment below. Let me know if you're more interested in job searching or you're more interested in me showing you how to network with the right individual. Vish. Let's pick on someone new. Hey, Jay, I appreciate the star. I will blow this up really big because it's star. I need animation so that my star can come up. I need to figure out how to do that. Hey, Abhishek. Abhishek says, does Amazon allow movement from one country to another? Yes, absolutely, they do. But the rule of thumb is that you have to be with Amazon for 1 full year. At least meets all on your rating. Okay, if you're underperformer, obviously you're not moving anywhere, even within the same building. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at myself. But if you at least meet the qualification during your performance review, yes, you're absolutely eligible after 1 year. For example, India to US, yes, and I've done a lot of that. And I mentioned a little earlier, I believe it's the L1 visa. I'm a little rusty, guys, with my immigration. I haven't been in that role for a while where I need to talk about immigration. How long does it take to move from L5 to L6 SDM? It really depends on your scope, okay? For you to get promoted with Amazon or other company, it's hard. It's really hard to get from 5 to 6, and a 6 to 7 is like, it takes forever. Okay. So for 5 to 6, I've seen roughly about 3 to 5 years, but these are individual who started at almost a startup and expanded. And the example that I'm giving were my business team from AmazonSupply.com or B2B. Back then, there were no B2B. It was smallparts.com, and that business team launched AmazonSupply.com, and then we launched Amazon/B2B. So it's a 3 years in making. Now, if you are involved in a startup like that, where it is 25 people grow to a couple thousand, yeah, you're going to get promoted. Okay, you're absolutely going to get promoted in 3 years. So that's just an example of how you get promoted with the scope like that and able to build and scale globally. And don't worry, even if you're level 4 at Amazon, you're going to do everything you do is global. You're going to have a good time. Sweetie says, my contract was ended on the 31st of March due to COVID-19. Currently, along with job search, I am helping an agency for sourcing. I have not updated my current status on my LinkedIn profile. Again, your LinkedIn profile have to be the right branding, okay? And you could certainly tell a story, but that story has to be where you want to go next. I'm not doing a LinkedIn profile review today, but again, I will be coming. I'm going to be pumping a lot more webinars with live streaming. Just hang in there. Have a little patience. It's coming. I don't want to give you an advice to put your consulting work working for another company while looking for something else on there or not, because this is a World Wide Web that I'm streaming and everything is pre-recorded. I'm not able to edit anything out, by the way, guys, because if I do, I don't want to lose my engagement. I wanted to see my comment. And also, it's also letting YouTube know that I actually have engagement. I don't want to erase all of my work. So if you're interested in that, again, you may want to check out my Patreon page where I do branding review as well. Okay, for the first tier. Hey, Fatima. Fatima says, oh, you're welcome. I've already passed my 2 phone interview. Yay! Congratulations. I got invited for the on-site. Are there questions different from the phone interview? Absolutely. Every single interview questions with any employer and any role, it's going to be different. And if you guys experience having the same interview questions, that means the interviewer is not doing their homework, okay? That means they're not prepared. So they should be asking you different questions. This is why more to in having more stories to show. Hey, Swang, welcome back. I have my second phone interview. I feel like you guys are I don't mean to say this in the wrong, I'm sorry guys, I have allergy in my eyes. It's emotionally dropping tears talking to you guys. I feel like you guys are my babies in a way where you came in about 2 months ago as you're applying for your job at Amazon, and I love seeing that you pass your first phone screen, second phone screen, and your on-site and job offer. It's amazing to watch that. It made my day, guys. Thank you so much for that. I have my second phone image. The star method was helpful for answering the leadership principle questions. Hopefully, I will get to the next round. You're welcome, and thank you so much for sharing that feedback. David says she told me how to prepare for the next interview. That's great. Your recruiter should be staying on top of you to make sure that you have the expectation when you go into the next round. David, I can't say enough how much I love your your photo. Please don't put that on your LinkedIn profile though. Good luck, David. Hey RTB, welcome back. Hey Ashma. Hi Shannon. Shannon says, two phone interviewed notice my resume has a spelling typo. I'm cringing. Fix it. That's what I mean, guys. You have to make sure you do your spell check and just your template, the consistency. Your resume have to look sharp. More importantly, your LinkedIn have to look spectacular. Okay, if they don't like your LinkedIn, they won't even be asking for your resume. Sent updated resume to the recruiting coordinator, RC's recruiting coordinator, before the first interview, but never heard back. Sent to the recruiter or let it go. I would send it to the recruiter as well. You don't want the interviewer to catch any typo. I mean, they may not even look at your resume or skim through, but still. Hey, Allison. Here are some LP questions for you guys. Allison's asked, which are typically questions for the leadership principle? I'll write a lot, all of them. Okay, all of them are frugality, not so much. Maybe if you are a people manager or you are in a finance where you're handling budgeting and in that nature. But at the bare minimum is majority of, I wanted to say 80-90% of all the leadership principle will be asked because those are all at the Amazon core value. Okay, and I've done a lot of these example in the previous stream in providing an answer where I've hit almost all of the leadership principle. Okay, it's not that hard. When you write up your story using the star methods, the way how you critique your story, and remember, guys, always loop in how it benefits and what is your added value to the customer. When you answer it that way, you're already right there hitting customer obsessions, bias for action, deliver results, earn trust. I mean, I can go on and on and on, right? If you answer your questions, always tying back to how you are able to impact your customer, either if it's external or internal, most of you guys, you are going to do well. But you need to have a number of different story, all right? Hey, Sam. Sam says, I was on a phone interview for TPM role. Interviewer offered the reverse interviewed. The interviewer offered a reverse interview. He let me ask questions the entire hour. How do I assess what happened? I've never heard of that before. What position? Okay, TPM role. That's really odd. I have never in my entire career of 21 years in recruiting have an interviewer do reverse interviewed with the candidate before. Honestly, I don't know what to tell you. And I don't want to make this sound bad, Mr. or Mrs. Interviewer, but are you not showing up prepared where you don't have your own question and you're trying to kill time by asking the candidates to ask you question? Because it's not really evaluating what you're bringing on the table. It makes no sense to me. That's my answer. RTB says, loop interview done. Yay. Let me know how that go. Ops manager in Canada. What part of Canada are you from again? Got an email last week from the senior recruiter. They would like to move forward and will contact by July 6th. Today it's a 7, no contact. Should I contact? Yes. Well, the reason why, Amazon or a lot of company are closed on the Friday of either the Friday of July 4th or the day after. A lot of people or the recruiter may be taking that as an extended holiday as well. Okay. That's what I'm assuming. Generally, when you have an offer pending or you make it through the final loop, they will be all over you. Okay, so I will follow up with the recruiter, send them an email, just tell them that you're still really excited and excited to reconnect. Okay. Hey, Danny, welcome back. Danny says, during an Amazon interview, is there any sign to tell if an interviewer is impressed with your answer? You know what? That's a very good question. Even when I came back as a boomerang and I interviewed for the Alexa team, I can't tell if they like me, especially the bar raiser. For me, it was just really obvious it's a bar raiser because that was the only individual that wasn't from the org that I was supporting on my business team, right? That's how I knew it was a bar raiser. But they're not smiling at me or anything. I wasn't nervous, but I just didn't know how well I did. So it's not a bad thing. Sometimes they just have so much going on in their head. They have to rush to a different meeting or they're distracted or whatnot. As long as you feel prepared and you are ready to answer any questions they throw at you, I will give yourself a pat in the back because making it to an on site interview, it is a lot, guy. It is a lot. Okay? And I have interviewed and I've worked for other companies, and most, if not all of you guys are connected with me on LinkedIn. You saw my LinkedIn portfolio. I would say the interview questions at Amazon is the one that I had the most fun because they were really diving deep and really digging to my background. And I love that. It also shows that the employer is trying to hire high quality talents in there. And I love the fact that they're being selective. Hey, Mayank. Hey, Mayank. Please correct me if I am not pronouncing your name correctly. Okay. I had a full round of interview with Amazon about 2 months back. HR said another candidate is hired before they sit together to decide on me. Now, I got a call from Amazon. Where do I stand? I have no clue, to be honest. If you interviewed 2 months ago, did they tell you that, first of all, I don't understand the feedback from the recruiter. Did you pass the bar or did you not pass the bar? If you did pass the bar, I would ask what level were you being considered for? And that is how you know where you stand. Okay? If the position is filled, they may wanted to see if they can open another position for you or refer you to a different team. By the way, guys, I just realized that I have the fan going in front of me behind the camera. So let me know if you guys are hearing a buzzing sound. It's really hot in here. The light is super bright. There's a big window behind me, so I have to shut off the curtain and turn on the ventilation in here. So let me know. Not like you guys have a choice, but let me know anyway. Hey, Milton. Milton says, Amazon has a relaxed dress code, what to wear on a virtual interview. Not sure what to wear. Funny that you ask. So this is a day-to-day wear at Amazon like this, a t-shirt, especially when you're working remotely. I actually have a video. It's called my virtual interview playlist. This one, okay? So make sure you guys download my template. It guides you through how to show up prepared for your job interviewed, the type of research down to what to wear. Okay, so I have all of that in that video. The bottom line is it's casual. So if you are a gentleman, I would say wear a button-up shirt. Even though it's casual, but when it comes to an interview, I would rather rather recommend you wearing business casual for any tech company. This is not just Amazon. So if you have a long sleeve button up shirt, you don't have to button it all the way up. Just button up shirt. Make sure you groom your hair well and have a smile. You see how I'm in frame right now? It's really important that the interviewer can see your face and you have the light facing behind the camera, which is what I'm having right now. Okay? And check out my video checklist. I'm showing you how to do all of that stuff as well. And if you are a female or a woman professional interviewing, I would say, a blouse or anything minus t-shirt and tank top. You can even put a polo shirt in there if you want to. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Red Riding Hood says how Excel is tested. What is going on with Excel, guys? I usually don't have anyone asking me about Excel questions. Now I'm getting like every other questions around Excel. The Excel questions I don't know, but the formula and things in that nature, If the job you're applying to calls for spreadsheet reporting, if you are a analyst, for example, if you're a business analyst, BI engineer, business analyst, basically all of the analysts, including the data analyst, you're gonna need to know how to create formula, extract datas, pivot table, yes, all of that stuff. I love your questions around how do I find the bar racer. I don't want to answer any more questions about finding the bar racer. I don't want you to find the bar racer. I want you to find yourself. I want you to find the right questions where you can show up really prepared and not waste your time on finding who the BR is, because that's not really relevant. That's going to stress you out even more. Okay? It's going to cause a lot of anxiety if you guys focus your energy on finding who the BR is. Ritish says, how do I address a leadership principle or write a lot? Well, you need to go check out my Amazon Leadership Principle playlist. Okay? Done that. Let me know if you have already done that. And also in there's commonly asked questions. I can't tell you the type of questions to ask because it's coming from your experience, unless you are in my weekly live Zoom coaching for my Patreon group. That's what we do every week. Okay, it's different topic where I screen share in helping them create their story as well and answering those questions. So without having any data about your background with Tish, I won't be able to just give you an answer. Okay, but you need to be able to answer all of those commonly asked questions, Amazon or not. Hello, Aditya. Hi, David. I know. There's a lot of weird funkiness going on with the interview process right now, David. There's a lot of comments regarding the process and recruiter. Allison. Dev. I've answered you. This is so weird. It's coming back to the very beginning. This is very, very odd, guys. I want you to know it is not me. It is YouTube. Okay? I'm going to pick on someone that I have not helped. Hello, Lee. How are you, Leo? Lee says, how do you suggest answering the expected salary question? Well, my friend, before you interviewed, and I talked about this in the last stream, so I'm not going to take up too much time here unless you guys want me to. You need to be able to figure out what is your salary expectation. I can't tell you how to answer that because every individual background, level, and also the market rate is very different. Okay? What are you currently making right now? And if you have been laid off due to the pandemic, what have you been making? And just average the last 3 years or so. Compare that to the market data that you can find on Glassdoor.com. What is your worth? Now, do keep in mind, guys, Glassdoor, from my experience, is generally about 15 to 20% lower than the market rate. I don't know why that is. Okay? So when someone is asking you for your salary expectation, you need to also ask yourself, what is important for you? Is it base salary? Is it equity? Is it sign-on bonus? What would you do to accept the offer? Okay, I can't tell you how to answer, but if you were asking me right now, Holly, what would it take, Holly, for you to come and lead staffing for ABC Company? And I know the number off of my head because I know the number that I have been making in combination with my own business, operating my own business, and what my added value is, and I know what I'm worth. So you need to figure out what you're worth. Cool. Kate says, if I knock the behavioral questions out of the park, but do a job on the technical portion, do I still stand a chance? Well, you don't really, I don't want to give you negative hope, but sometimes you may think I'm okay, but to the interviewer, you might have answered them perfectly. Okay, so I refuse to give you the answer that you're looking for. I'm just going to say that you don't know how well you do until you receive the feedback. Abhishek, let me know if you have other questions. Kate says, 3 months prepped. I had a week. How do you get 3 months? Well, if you haven't interviewed for a while and you can't even answer me on top of your head right now, guys, tell me what is the largest what is the largest career achievement that you've done? If you cannot answer that, that's an issue, right? And if you can answer, what is the biggest, the most complex problem that you have solved? Okay. Another one is, can you kind of walk me through a process where, you worked really hard to present data for your manager, but you just don't seem to get a buy-in from this individual where you see eye to eye? What was your story? What happened there? If you have to think about your story and you don't know what to say and you don't even have a story, it's gonna take you quite a few months to get there. Especially when you are applying for jobs and you don't get a response from the recruiter, or you just never seem to pass the initial phone interview. That's a clear indication that you need a couple months to work on your interviewing skills, and your stories needs to be more polished. Okay, it is true. It takes several months unless you have been performing in the industry standard and you could really do the job and you don't have a problem. You have all your story. Sure, it takes you a week. You could do the job if you were to hire, but you need to get the job. And you could easily spend a week or a couple of weeks in prepping yourself, but not everyone is in that stage. I am very confident in making that statement because, even the executive that I've helped who's been with the same company for 16 years, and these are brand name company, name it, okay? Like the Microsoft, the Apples, even Amazon as well in the world. But as we are working on mock interview, they were having a really hard time answering my questions. Even those people, it takes them at least a couple of weeks to come back to reality. So you need to really pick up that momentum as well. I love that you asked that. Hey, Olga. Olga says, 3 years experience. I have my first interview with someone in the hiring team next Monday. AWS, any advice? UX UI designer, it's designer, right? I'm going to assume that they want to see if haven't already your portfolio. I talk about designer in the last stream, so make sure you test that out. At the end of the day, it's all about your portfolio and the work that you've done. That's really the best tip I can give you. And a lot of the behavioral questions from you guys who came back that received the job offer, as well as my clients, mentioned that 70% of the question that was asked during the entire process was on behavioral question. Hey, Azalis. Any advice for my first interview for senior program manager? Yes, there are. And do you have interview questions template? As mentioned, you need to go to my freebie website later on this evening. If not by tomorrow, just come back. I will have it listed on there where you can just go and grab it. Are we good? And as far as senior program manager, there are so many tips on most of my live streams. So go back to that. As I don't want to be redundant with a lot of the folks who came back, there's a lot. Your program management life cycle and how large of the program that you use to manage, lead, and execute has a lot to do with you getting a job offer at Amazon specifically. Hey, Renee, how are you? Here's Renee. Renee is my Patreon community manager. Everybody say hello. Let's go with somebody new. Hey, Christine. Welcome back, Christina. Star, star, star. Yay, star. Always star during the last 2 weeks. I watch all of you. Thank you so much for taking my star so seriously. And for everyone who received a job interview earlier, about an hour ago, I've shown you guys, for those who joined, I can tell that there's a bunch of people who just joined. I've showed you guys this screen, and let me put this back for a second. You see how Simon behind my back. I'm talking as of it's behind my wall. In his wall, he lists out all the questions aligning with the questions and answer and whatnot. So in my coaching career or career in general, I've only seen three people who've done it. And the ones who have done it, they are my clients. I know this because they actually show me and they take everything I say to heart. And guess what, guys? They all landed a job offer. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. You have to do it, guys. All my resources is there for you. I can only give you so many advice and coaching strategies, but I can't hold your hand during the interview. I can hold your hand before the interview, but I need you to be able to do all the work. Okay? Do all the work and then tell me where you're stuck so I can better guide you to be more efficient. Akala says, a tip for cloud consultant role. So cloud consultant, cloud infrastructure could also be pretty similar to solution architect as well. I have a lot of that. I would advise for you to check out my previous live stream. There's a lot of interview tips on there. Okay? Yoganan? Hey, Yoganan says, Yoganan says, I have done all my 5 rounds of TPM on-site interviewed, and I have a follow-up interview with a recruiter. What to expect? If you have a follow-up with a recruiter, that means they're giving you feedback. It sounds like you did pretty well. Okay? If you have a call with the recruiter, it's either you did not meet the bar or let's talk about your offer. You're welcome, Christina. Thank you so much for the kind word. Hi, Zoe. Zoe says, a lot of preparation for Amazon. Don't be afraid to push back the date for the next one. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. I've been preaching to so many of you where there are times where I just copy and just paste the same response for all of you guys who reach out to me. Love your messages. But if you're going to reach out to me and tell me that regardless, you finally have an interview at Amazon, you're going to take it, you are really taking a step backward. Okay? Juan says, I'm having a bit of anxiety. A lot of people are having anxiety. You're not the only one, Juan. Here waiting for the final round. I work my way into competing with 2 teams, have passed about 4 interviews, and now waiting for the virtual on-site. It's good to have other teams that are fighting for you. This will be a split loop between Amazon Elemental in Portland and AWS in Santa Monica. Wow, looks like you'll be relocating. Should I expect more of the same questions that I have asked previously? Absolutely not. If you're interviewing with split team, how Amazon or any other company work is that everyone who interview you have already seen the type of questions who are asked. They don't want to waste your time or their time in asking the same questions, okay? Even if it's technical question, it will be something completely different. David says, so here we go. Recruiter call, phone screen, then loop with Amazon. How different is a phone compared to the loop? Well, it depends. Now that you're doing everything virtual, if you're doing the phone, to be honest with you guys, if they're doing the phone call, they might as well do like the face to face. I mean, it's the same formality almost. The phone and the loop, it's not too much different. One can challenge me on that. And the reason why I say that is for phone interviewed, they just wanted to know that if you have the foundation to do the work, that you can meet the bar at 80% before they invite you to a full loop, which means, again, it's not just them not wasting your time as well. Okay? So I have had feedback from my clients that there's no technical questions at all, and this is for technical product manager and technical program manager in this case, and it's all behavioral questions. And in the end, they didn't get the job because they were unable to answer design questions. Well, yeah, because the interviewer needs to be asking you design question or technical question, because if you don't ask the interviewer that question, you're wasting their time, and all the nervousness that you guys have prior to the interview, it's not doing you any justice either, and it's not helping prep you. Okay, so not all interviewers will show up prepared. I'm going to say that most of them should, because most of them have taken courses in how they could show up with the right questions to ask you. That's the big difference. In the end of the day, if they are asking behavioral question, it could be similar to the panel interviewed. But as far as technical questions, they may ask you very high level in knowing, making sure that you have the knowledge to do the job versus diving really deep. Because, you don't have time in 45 minutes to know everything about an individual to make that decisions, right? Abhishek is interviewing for a data engineer too. Abhishek, there's a lot of data engineer and data scientists, AI, and also ML tips. So check out my previous stream on Amazon interview tips. Hey, hello again, RatCDU. Good afternoon to you. Should I let my recruiter know if I am also interested in other team, be a role that I haven't interviewed for, or should I mention after I complete this interview? Well, the thing is, you have already made it this far in the interview process. I would complete the interview, because even if you tell the recruiter that you're interested in other role, and here's why, the bar is the same, right? If you're interviewing for a BA or BIE role, it's the same thing across Amazon. And this goes with all the company. It wouldn't hurt for you to tell the recruiter that, and the reason why why you proceed with caution is you don't want the hiring manager to say, well, we really like this guy, but if we're not his priority and we have to compete internally with another team, then all right, well, let's see if he's really as good as he say he is, right? That's why I made that comment. But, as your relationship with the recruiter, I also wanted to coach you guys to be honest, so there's no surprises. If you are interested in other group as well, I would simply tell the recruiter that I'm really interested to work for Amazon. I feel like my passion as a BI engineer can fit in multiple team here, just so that I'm interested to get this position in different teams within Amazon, and I would let you lead. I would let you take the lead on that. That way you're pushing back on the recruiter to help you and leverage the recruiter. I mean, they're not going to share your resume with other team because you have already started the process with them. It is a first come, first serve, especially with big companies where they don't necessarily split loop. Okay? That's something that you should know. But however, if you decide to make it towards the end and this is not a good fit for you for any reason at all, you could absolutely make that suggestion where they are forwarding your feedback to a different team. Okay? Because the type of questions that they would answer you is fairly similar. Could you please tell me what kind of LP questions are for AWS Cloud? Yep, it is on there. Yep, that is right. Renee says that they will try to place you in another team. Absolutely. Abhishek says, Renee, would they interview again? Yep, you guys go on ahead and ask him those questions. Renee says, I encourage everyone to join Holly's Patreon community. Tier 1 has access to, it is Discord. Discord is a community where I interact with my community on a daily basis with a lot of questions as far as reviewing their branding and the work that they do as well. That's why if I am slow in responding to your LinkedIn, I respond to LinkedIn one day a week, depending on the amount that I'm getting, the volume that I'm getting. But I will respond to Patreon. It's literally in front of my screen, and I let it run because if there's any important messages, I don't want to miss that from you guys. Allison says, I already provided the dates to the recruitment coordinator. She gave me tentatively 2 days next week. Would it come across as unprofessional if I reschedule? No, absolutely not. It comes across smart if you reschedule. That's a very smart move. Thank you for that star, Sam. Star, star, star. Yay, star. Anlu, you are back. Anlu has been following me since the very get-go and started her new job at Amazon. Coming back just to help support my community here on YouTube to answer some of the questions that I may not be able to get to. Dipti says, not shy, just being a good listener. That's awesome. Well, there's still quite a number of you listening in the background. If you're still enjoying, if you're still with me, give me a thumbs up if you haven't already, okay? Give me a smile or something to tell me that you're still listening for those who are hiding behind the screen. Star, star, star. Yay. Hey, Gloria. You're welcome. Oh, I love seeing you here too. Oh, Anlu, by the way, if you joined, I don't know if you're still here because my Wi-Fi is slowed. Earlier, I talked about an example of this template right over here that I've only come across 3 people that have done this. And you were actually the other one where you've done so much homework and be so prepared with all of your story, aligned with the leadership principle on a spreadsheet wall, same thing, and you got hired. Erica says, I took the SHL numerical test for marketing GM role and found it really tough. Could be answer not good enough for the amount of calculation per question. How is the test measured? To be honest with you, I have no clue how the test is being measured because I don't support marketing at all. If you have a numeric test, if the test was sent to you, normally there's some type of instructions. The best advice I can tell you is to leverage your recruiter that can give you more in depth of what the expectation is. Hey, Karima, how are you? I love my Patreon folks coming in here. Thanks for coming by. Hey, Mohammed. Mohammed says, oh, you're welcome. Oh, you're welcome. Star, star. Love your photo. Good job on the profile pic. You're welcome, Akila. I have a first phone screening interview next week. Do you have any tips for me? That is, know your stuff very well. Your first phone interview is really knowing the foundation of the role that you're hired for. What are those foundations? If you look at the job description, it is all over it. Okay? You still have to create your story, guys, even though it's a first first home interview. First phone interview. Phone interview, Holly. Coffee. Thank you, Allison. Atlas says, I had a phone interview. The interviewer seemed inexperienced. It seems like they're reading a script. I know. That means they're picking questions from the interview bank instead of adding in personal touch. That's how you know. And they do look at their laptop a lot to take notes. No attempt to have a conversation. My application did not move forward. Can I do anything about it? Unfortunately, if you don't do well in a phone interview, I'm assuming that you can't get any feedback from your recruiter. I would reapply. What position is this, Atlas? I would try to reapply in 6 months because we don't have any information about the role that you're applying to and what is the nature of the role, right? Depending on what it is. If you truly can't code at all and this is a technical position, I would say don't reapply until it's a year later. But if you have to ask yourself, are you able to perform every single thing in the job description? If your answer is yes, and I would say yes, reapply in 6 months. If your answer is no, then it's probably not a good idea. Then you need to gain those skills before you do so. Hey, Raphael. Raphael says, my last interview Amazon will happen this Friday. I passed on the previous phase. Thanks, yo. You're welcome. Yay! I can do this all day long, guys. Come and tell me wonderful news how you passed your interview. This is like the highlight of my day. Avishik says, by the way, guys, if you miss any of this, there will be a hyperlink to all of the questions that you guys asked afterwards, okay? With a timestamp. Does Amazon allow movement? Oh, yeah, I have already answered. That is so weird. It's jumping around now. Okay, Oscar, I know I have not answered any of your question. Oscar says, oh, you're welcome. Do you know if Amazon is hiring people from other countries? I'm from Peru and I have just applied. Yes, I know that the London office, the Lux office, I heard Paris as well. There's a lot of EMEA that are doing tons of hiring over there. However, I know that the one area that they're not exactly moving forward is if you are applying for position international coming into the U.S. There's a visa issues that they're putting a lot of that on hold. I've actually worked with individual where, yeah, it's devastating where they finally got a job offer, but it's put on hold because of visa issue coming into the state. Hey Ming, Ming says, during the first network call with the recruiter, what are the good topics to talk about? Well, the good topic to talk about is let the recruiter lead. By the way, guys, anytime when you have an employer call you, it could be a recruiter, your phone screen, it doesn't matter who on the employer side, let them lead the conversation, and don't get too wrapped up of what questions to make the call interesting, okay? The recruiter is probably going to want to find out more about your background, walk you through the entire interview process. That's just for all company and not just Amazon. If I were you, I will download interview to ask towards the end of the questions later on this evening or so in my template. Some of the questions that I would ask the recruiter is tell me more about this role. Who would I be reporting into? What is the scope of the position that's not listed in the job description? And what is the culture like? And if this is a technical role, what can you talk to me more about the technical positions to help me prep for the next round? And by the way, Mr. or Mrs. Recruiter, what is the next round? Okay, so things that you should care. That's what I care about. So you guys need to ask yourself, what do you care about? Hey, Pierre. Pierre says, just wanted to stop. Oh, just want to stop by and thank you for your effort. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks. London says Glassdoor should sponsor you. Well, if they would sponsor me, that would be great because literally every single one of my video in the last 9 months have been around Glassdoor. I think I'm so comfortable with Glassdoor that I can close my eyes and know exactly where to go with all of their tools. That's how much I've enjoyed it as a user. Hey, Dong. Love my Patreon community. Oh, I'm doing well. Thanks for coming by. Okay, so I'm seeing earlier today, for those who are still watching, I know that there's still about 80 of you that are here. I've asked the questions earlier for, I'm just going to go ahead and block. I've asked earlier if you guys will be interested in a webinar where I will walk you through tutorial of how you network on LinkedIn. The ones who are waiting to get a recruiter call or interview with Amazon or any employer, or if you prefer me to do this with job search in the job search process. I'm just putting 3 here. It looks like many of you are more interested in the upcoming webinar to be around networking. So guess what, guys? Let's do that next Tuesday, but make sure you guys show up on time, okay? I'm going to spend the entire weekend putting a deck together for you. I want you to show up earlier. I will try to stream a little bit before 12:30 because the webinar is usually about 10 to 15 minutes or so, and then I'll spend that time answering questions. Okay, guys, it's happening. We have one job search and the rest are networking, but don't worry, job search is coming as well. Vish says, my resume is fully technical, but the role is customer solution specialist. Does not require any technical skills like programming language. I'm not sure why they picked my resume for phone screen. I'm not sure why either. Maybe you should ask the recruiter why. Don't ask the interviewer. Ask the recruiter, okay? We're all human beings here, and people make mistakes, and no one is perfect. There's good interviewer and bad interviewer. Bad interviewer meaning that they're not prepared when they interview you, and they don't really read your resume. well as recruiter. Okay, a lot of them just wanted to hit their numbers and make sure that they can mark the check mark that this week I have 10 people interviewing versus really looking at your branding and see what you've done. But be careful there, Vish. Okay, if your passion is to continue being in a technical role, and you want to continue coding, I wouldn't want to interview for a customer solution specialist if that's not relevant to your background. So I will verify that with the recruiter before you move forward with the interview. Okay, see if you're missing anything there. You don't want to put yourself in the hole where, as a hiring manager, I would be asking myself, why are we interviewing Vish if he's a technical professional? I don't know what technical part you're referring to, Vish, but you're interviewing for a customer solution architect, which kind of sound like an evangelist, a customer evangelist as well, where you don't code, but you know the foundation or the knowledge. All right. Amy, you have an interview next week. My last minute tips from your side. I would say good luck, Amy. Make sure you are relaxed. I need you to stop prepping the night before the interview. You can have the final glance in your story one more time. But when that clock hit 24 hours before the day of your interview, I need you to shut everything down and stop prepping because anxiety will kill you. All right? That is my best tip for you. Alice says, what should be the length of the star responses? If you look at earlier on, I'm not sure if you have seen this. I talked about my 60-second elevator pitch. It's aligned with the STAR methods. The title of that alone should tell you it's no more than 1 minute. Antoinette says, I recognize my bar racer, at least I think I did, because he was the most serious out of the 4 interviewers. Oh my God, that's funny. Maybe he was just a serious person, but I'm pretty sure it was him. Yeah, that's funny. No comment. No fan sound. I know, I need a... That's good. That's actually a good thing. Hey, Hannah. I haven't answered any of your question. Hannah says, I just want to say thank you for the video. It helped me with my interview process, and I managed to get the role I interviewed for. Yay! Congratulations, Hannah. I know that you've been following me for a while. I fished. Oh, thank you so much. And for the super chat as well. Fingers crossed. I hope that you would be able to land a job offer with Amazon as your dream company. If you guys can't take away anything that I say, just think about your story creating around the star in the 60-second elevator pitch. I'm going to continue talking about this every single week because it worked. It has helped, especially if you are interested in the technical, for technical company, even startup. It really, the star helps you to be very concise to the point where you really know the type of questions that you are aiming to solve. Okay? Abhishek says, considering that they gave me a L5 instead of 6 positioned, it takes 3 to 5 years for getting an L6 as in promotion. Also, they asked me if I would move to India, where I asked US what to say positive after I've heard. Well, you know, the company are always going to ask you if you're willing to relocate for their team, right? But please do understand that Amazon is a giant. You could move around anywhere within the US. So that is not the only group. My advice to you is get the job, be killer at your job, prove that you could execute projects worldwide where you have a phenomenal employer rating, and you can always move within the US if the team that you were hired for doesn't have a role for you, which I highly doubt it. Okay, this is trying to tell me that they're probably expanding that team in India, and they would need someone with your caliber so that you could help build the team in India. It's not a bad thing, but if you're not interested in moving back or move back to India, then don't do it because you want to have that promotion. Antoinette says, all interviews are equally important. And you guys know my pet peeves when anyone asks me who's a bar raiser, where can I identify the bar raiser? Guys, it's not important. It is not. Treat everyone equally. Everyone should have the same way on how you prep for interview. Prep for the same thing, bar raiser or not. Sudhir says, my second interviewed after a long time would be your suggestion for preparation. It is everything that I just talked about. If you don't have your stories, then you won't make it very far. And Erica, make sure that you check out my Amazon interview process, my on-site interview process at Amazon playlist. Okay? And Shadir, your first interview with the hiring managers, I don't know what position you're interviewing for and what level you're interviewing for. But, again, you have to really determine if you're able to perform at least 80% of the function in that special job description to get yourself prepared. Asif says, how many questions should I prepare for the loop? I would say as many as you can, okay? I know not all of you have watched my Amazon Leadership Principle playlist. All of those questions on there are the top ones that I have gathered together between Glassdoor, Amazon's website, and Google.com. So I've spent a lot of my time contracting all of that into one single area and one single playlist for you guys. If you can answer all of that, and when you answer those questions, do the best that you can and provide different stories. Don't stop with your story. Don't just give a story just to give a story. It has to make sense with the job that you're applying to. Okay? Relevancy is key. Erica says, is it okay to note during interview to write down questions so that you can answer star and don't forget the questions? Generally, I have never seen anyone that have done that from the time that I've interviewed them, but just thinking out loud, even if this is an on-site interview, it's okay to ask the interviewer if you could take note. So yes, then I would say yes. You could write it down or you could type it, whichever format that's easier for you. Allison says, why does this take 45 minutes to an hour per each interviewer? Because you can't evaluate someone within half an hour, right? And sometimes conversation can go beyond half an hour, give or take. The interviewer may be late. They're rushing through the next interview. And what if they don't want to, they're not done with you yet and they're excited. They want to get to know you more. So 45 to 60 minutes, it's enough time for you to ask questions as well. It's not all about the interviewer. It's allowing you an opportunity to interview the interviewer as well, if this is the right environment for you. And 5 hour, it's the average. All interviewer, it's roughly around 5 hours. I'm trying to pick on someone new here. Networking. Okay, Milton, you got it. It's all networking. I'm going to take a couple more and I have to run, okay? Erica, you also wanted to ask, do you offer any mock interview if we want to practice? Absolutely. Again, that is really my Patreon. It is the least expensive group coaching at 80% off. I talk about Patreon a lot in this stream because a lot of you guys have asked me that in this live stream, as well as my LinkedIn private messages. Okay, I do have a service out there. I'm doing it because so many people are affected by the pandemic. And I wanted to meet you guys at least 80% way. So it is my Patreon. I would recommend that over anything else. And if you're interested in private coaching, and that's on my business page, it is my Career Accelerator Masterclass where you and I are going to spend half a day together. But honestly, I love group coaching because in group coaching, you will learn that a lot of the questions are very similar. It doesn't matter what role you guys are interviewing for. It doesn't matter if you're interviewing with the hiring manager, your peer, or the BR. I'm trying to teach you and train you how to answer intelligently around your story that makes sense and provide clarity. And when you see that with other folks in the live Zoom group coaching, you are also picking up on tips and strategies from them as well. That is the reason why group coaching is so powerful. I cannot stress that enough. Hey, Jibril says, for TPM role, I have a mix of infrastructure and application program management experience. If I have 70% of my stories on the infrastructure side, is that a problem? No, absolutely not. The more story you have that's relevant to the job that you're applying for is fine. Okay? Even if they're not going to ask you 70% technical question, at least you have your story that you could pick the most important one to share. Stefano says, this is the last question, okay? Stefano says, greetings from Italy. Yay, Italy. I just wanted to say thank you because your tips, I've passed my first interview at Amazon. I'm preparing for the onsite. Yay! Congratulations. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here with me. I will see you all next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, please, if you can, be here on time at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the dot, because I will be running my webinar on my best networking tip, how I know that have worked. I'm basically showing you exactly how I would prep my VIP private coaching live, free for you. So show up on time. Until next week. Bye. Oh, before I forget, if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting on? Subscribe and hit the bell notification. Bye now.